Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Wamalak Abishai, double honor to the elect elders of the house of David, that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Hamashiach, Wamalak Abishai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Akwath out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the households, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to the ancient men, the children, and the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And a hearty, mighty Shabbat Shalom to everybody tuning in live. Yolanda Caesar, Nigel Blends, Princess Nikki Yah, Don Israel, Benjamin Youngwolf, Shalom King, T. Sellers, Brother Believe, HBK Int, Shalom Williams, M. Williams, Ephraimite Ock, and everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. Right? The topic of this cold cut is the key of the house of David, the prince, and the new heavens. Right? The key of the house of David, the prince, and the new heavens. So we're going to dive right into it and kick it off with the book of Amos, the ninth chapter, because in these last days, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is rebuilding and restoring the tabernacle of David that has been fallen. We're going to go into the house of David prophetically, historically, and understand what exactly is happening in these last days. This is Amos chapter 9 and verse 11. It reads, "And that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old." So right now, the Most High is rebuilding and raising up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. Now, a tabernacle is a tent, a house, if you can understand, a dwelling place. So in the ancient world, the house of David was the unified kingdom consisting of the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom that David ruled over the entire province from Dan to Beersheba, if you can understand, even as so far as the Euphrates. So when you read about the tabernacle of David, you're not just reading about David's actual immediate household, his nuclear family, Abigail and his other wife, and his sons, and Absalom and Amnon and Solomon. And no, the house of David is beyond that. Prophetically, the elect are the tabernacle of David. They are the house of David. Often you'll hear me say in the introduction to double honors to the elect elders of the house of David. The house of David that I make reference to is not, it's not the specific camp, HODC, or the house of David. They are the, whoever these elders may be, the elders of Israel from the various bodies, right? That these men are the elect, right? No matter what congregation that you're in, if you're one of the elders that's been in this truth, been laboring and doing this work in sincerity, and if you don't are the elect, double honors to the elect elders of the house of David. It's not just going to be men in the kingdom that are 20 years old and younger. You're going to have ancient men, elder men, right? So the tabernacle of David consists of the elect, right? And the Lord is going to raise this up in these last days, man. The same way the Most High, like he said in Revelation. Let's get a quick precept on this about being raised up. This is Revelation chapter 11 and verse 11. It reads, "And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them." So after a certain dispensation of time, this is really 350 years on a spiritual level, the Most High is he's raising up the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American men. And they're standing up upon their feet. And the other nations that are witnessing this resurrection, they're watching the tabernacle of David be built up all over again. They're seeing a unification of the 12 tribes, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom being gathered together by the word of the Most High. So this is us being raised up. And I will build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen which are called by my name, saith Yahweh that doeth this. And we know this isn't talking about the ancient tabernacle of David. It's speaking about a futuristic tabernacle of David, because the Edomites, they're the ones that broke off from the house of David during the days of the kings, man. David had them in subjection. David had them in captivity when you read 2 Samuel, the 8th chapter. Right? Let's actually get that real quick. Right? 2 Samuel chapter 8, where David actually had the Edomites in captivity. 2 Samuel chapter 8 and 14. And he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons. And all they of Edom became David's servants. And Yahweh preserved David whithersoever he went. So the Lord put garrisons, right? What are garrisons? Garrisons are small barracks or military bases, if you can understand, where you would set deputies over this post or this barrack, and they would have jurisdiction over provinces. So David enslaved the so-called white man. Yes, King David enslaved the so-called white man. And King David is a so-called black man. Right? So he enslaved the Edomites. Now, in the kingdom, the Most High is going to have this happen all over again. That's why it says that they may possess the remnant of Edom, because they had the Edomites in time past, man. And they even slew up the Edomites, hundreds and thousands of them, huh? And that's what's going to happen all over again. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 14. It reads, and Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, stirred up an adversary unto Solomon. Hadad the Edomite, he was of the king's seed in Edom. So when you start going off and going against the grain, the Most High stirs up your adversary against you. What do you think happened to us? Why do you think the so-called white man rose up against us? Why do you think the Romans, the Greeks, these so-called Babylonians, these Americans had the power and the authority to subjugate the children of God? Because the Lord stirred them up, huh? The same way Solomon began to go off and serve the diverse gods of the woman that he fell in love with, it's the same thing that we have done. We have served other gods, and the Lord stirred up the Edomites. But let's read on, verse 15. For it came to pass, when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was going up to bury the slain after he had smitten every male in Edom. So they put, this is what you call a genocide, an ethnic cleansing. David was responsible for committing a righteous genocide. Right? Let's pull this up. What is an ethnic cleansing? A mass expulsion or killing of members of an unwanted ethnic or religious group in a society. So David was doing an ethnic cleansing. Now, he was cleansing the earth of all of the Edomite males. Now, he wasn't able to do that. He wasn't able to complete the task because all things must be fulfilled. Now, when the house of David is reestablished, we're going to ultimately fulfill the ethnic cleansing that David started. So there's a lot of things David did and the house of David was responsible for that fell away. The unification of the tribes, the subjugation of the nations, the ethnic cleansing in the land. These things are going to come back on the earth all over again, right? Let's go back to first. Actually, let's pull up the definition. We'll do the etymology of the word genocide, right? Genocide. It reads, from the Greek genos, which means race or kind, and side meaning killing. So David was what you would call a racist. Yeah, we said it, bro. King David, and everybody, like I always say, you like to think of David as little boy David that slew Goliath. Anytime a Christian, a churchgoer, a Baptist, whatever denomination of folly that you're in, when you talk about King David, you never talk about the great wars that David did, how he tortured these heathen, put them under brick kilns and hacksaws and lined the Moabites up by line and slew them up. You never talk about how David did an ethnic cleansing. David was responsible for one of the world's first major genocides. You know? So this was to extinguish a race of people. Let's read this again. 1 Kings 11 and 15. For it came to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host. Now, Joab was actually David's nephew, right? And he had brothers, Ashael and Abishai. And they were too hard for David at times, right? Was going up to bury the slain after he had smitten every male in Edom. For 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel until he had cut off every male in Edom. That Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites. So if there's an Edomite on the earth right now, if he's German, Italian, Dutch, Welsh, Scottish, he may very well be from the remnant of the certain Edomites that barely made it by the skin of their teeth. All these Americans, they very well could be the remnant of the certain Edomites, right? That's a group of people, the certain Edomites, man. Because the Lord cut off the rest of the other Edomites. So he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. So the point is, in the ancient world, the house of David actually subjugated all the other nations that were surrounding them, as well as they had the unification of the tribes. Now, historically, let's actually go into the house of David through the Spirit, man. Right? Because again, the house of David didn't last forever. That's why the Lord has to rebuild it. Remember, during the days of Solomon, the kingdom was split and all hell broke loose amongst the tribes. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 11, right? About the kingdom of Israel and Judah, right? So this is 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 8. And when he had, it's like, and when he numbered them in Bezek, the children of Israel were 300,000, and the men of Judah 30,000. Now, a lot of times we talk about the kingdom being divided, right? Where the kingdom was divided in the days of Solomon, but there are, indicating precepts, for lack of better terms, that foreshadow that division. Otherwise, why, before even King Solomon came on the throne, do you have Israel being divided with Judah? Why not just mention them all together? The Israelites were 330,000. Why does the Most High break it up with Israel was 300,000 and the men of Judah 30,000? Because you always had this division. It wasn't as hostile as it was during the days of Solomon and Rehoboam, chiefly Rehoboam and Abijah and these kings, but this division did exist, man. Right? This is 1 Samuel. Because you have to remember, before you had a southern kingdom and a northern kingdom, you had families. You had families in the different tribes, and you had princes of the different tribes that formed alliances together. So your northern kingdom tribes, those families and the princes of the tribes, they were Israel, and the elders of Judah, they were Judah, right? Now, this is during the days we were at 1 Kings 11, right? When Saul was in power. Now, this is 1 Samuel 11. Now, this is 1 Samuel 17 and 52. And to show that division again. And the men of Israel and of Judah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines until thou come to the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way of Sha'arim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. So again, you have the men of Israel and you have the men of Judah. Judah is always divided from Israel. Now, why is Judah separated from Israel? Because Judah was the chief tribe. Not only was Judah the chief tribe, Judah really, when you go back to it, Judah has always been the outstanding, for lack of better terms, of the sons of Jacob, right? And you can see that throughout the scriptures, man, that the Most High was always dealing with Judah. And I'm not talking about Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, those respective tribes. I'm speaking about the actual man, the fourth born son named Judah. The Lord was always dealing with Judah. The house of David comes from Judah. Yahweh Shah is from the tribe of Judah. Right? Let me get a quick precept on Judah. Right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 29. Right? So Judah, and again, on another level, Judah had the largest population out of all of the tribes. When you go through the tribal history, Judah was around, during the consensus, they were over 73,000. So we were always, me being from the tribe of Judah, that's what I say, we, and if you from the tribe of Judah, we were always, by population, the most populous tribe when we did the census in the book of Numbers. Right? This is that may not be the case now, or it may be the case, man. Right? This is Genesis chapter 29 to 35, dealing with Judah. And she conceived again and bare a son. And she said, now will I praise Yahweh. Therefore, she called his name Judah and left bearing. Right? So again, Judah in the Hebrew is Yahweh. What does Yahweh mean? Praise Yahweh. Right? She said, now will I praise Yahweh. Now will I give thanks unto Yahweh, because she, meaning Leah, hath given me a fourth born son, Reuben, Simeon, Levi. And she got her fourth son. She said, all praises, or Thawada Yahweh. Right? Thawada Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. Or Thawada Yahweh, man. That's what she said. So that's why she called him Judah. And not only that, Judah is also the praise of Yahweh, because Judah was the son that all of the other sons looked up to. And this was the son that Jacob was dealing with on a one-on-one level, man. He had a tight-knit relationship with Judah, his son. And you got to understand the importance of Judah when you're dealing with the house of David. Right? Let's go to let's get a quick precept. Let's go to Genesis. Let's see. Let's start at 43. Right? This is Genesis chapter 43 and verse, you want to start at 20, right? Let's start at 27. Right? This is, actually, bear with me, I believe I want 43. Right? Salaki, bear with me. I want Genesis 42. Salaki, 42 and 27. Right? This is Genesis chapter 42 and 27. It reads, now this is when the sons came into Egypt. Right? They came into Egypt, and let's see what else. I'm gonna jump down to 36. They came into Egypt, and their brother was taken captive. Simeon, he got held back, and then they had to go back to their father and give an account of what happened. And you're going to see the relationship that Jacob had with Judah compared to the other sons. And they were always this foreshadowing of the Most High dealing with Judah. This is Genesis 42 and 36. And Jacob their father said unto them, me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not. And when ye take Benjamin away, all these things are against me, because Joseph allegedly was dead. That's what Jacob thought. Simeon got taken captive. And then Joseph told him, if you don't bring Benjamin back, I'm not giving you Simeon back. So there was a ransom put out on Simeon. Right? Verse 37. Now check this out. And Reuben. Now Reuben is the oldest. Surely the father would listen to the oldest, the elder. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, slay my two sons if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. And he said, my son shall not go down with you. So he doesn't care what Reuben has to say. He doesn't respect that, man. Because we know what Reuben did. If you don't know what Reuben did, you got to go find out. For his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way which ye go, then shall ye bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. So Reuben, being the eldest, the Most High wasn't dealing with him, huh? Usually the oldest, when he speaks up, the father kind of listens. But again, that relationship was strained because Reuben went up to his father's couch and dealt with his concubine. Then you had Simeon and Levi. Simeon and Levi went off, man. When you read Genesis, the 34th chapter, they're the ones that were responsible for the murders and the killings of the Canaanites in that land. And Jacob actually told them, "Cursed be their anger, for it was cruel," man. Paraphrasing. So Reuben was out the picture. He dealt with the concubine. Simeon, the second oldest, he was out the picture. And Levi out the picture for how they dealt harshly with the Canaanites. And then Judah was next. So the Most High set this up. Now let's see what else happened to Judah. This is Genesis chapter 43 and verse 2. And it came to pass, when they had eaten up the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said unto them, "Go again, buy us a little food." And Judah, not Reuben, because Reuben already got dismissed, man. Talking about slay my two sons. So what, man? Jacob didn't respect that. He didn't respect the spirit of Simeon and Levi. So now Judah's on the scene. So Judah is seeing Judah kind of come into power. And Judah spake unto him, saying, "The man did solemnly protest unto us, saying, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. If thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy thee food. But if thou wilt not send him, we will not go down." So Judah put his foot down. Man. For the man said unto us, "Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you." Right? So again, you got Judah actually protesting. I'm going to jump down to verse 8. And Judah said unto Israel his father, "Send a lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and thou and our little ones. I will be surety for him. Of my hand shalt thou require him, if I bring him not unto thee, and set him before thee, let me bear the blame forever. For except we had lingered, surely now we had returned the second time." He said, man, we could have been back, man. We stalling. Judah said, "Put it on me and my family." And guess what? Israel respected Judah, man. And their father Israel said unto them, "If it must be so now, do this. Take up the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, nuts and almonds." So we see that Judah is being respected over his brethren, man. That's why Genesis 49 says what it says about the tribes and the other sons praising Judah, man. Let's get another quick precept just dealing with Judah. Let's go to Genesis chapter 46. And I want verse 26. Now here's the tribes coming into Egypt. All the souls that came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons, wives, all the souls were 66, meaning 66. And the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 70. So you have 70 souls. Now here's this point. And he sent Judah before him unto Joseph, to direct his face unto Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. So how come Jacob didn't say, "Reuben, I need you to lead the way. Simeon, you lead the way. Levi, you lead the way"? He said no. Right? He didn't say Asher, Gad. Right? He didn't say that, man. Benjamin, lead the way. He said, "Judah, you're the guy. You're him. You are the one. You lead us the way that we should be led. You're the one that can go and deal with Joseph." So Judah has always been a prominent son in his relationship compared to Israel. It's not just Judah because Judah dressed the best, or people say, Judah cooked the best, Judah this, Judah. No, Judah, our father, has always set the standard of excellence and godliness, even from the days that he was around his brothers, man. So it's no big secret why the Most High always separates Judah from Israel, because Judah was always chosen. Right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 49. Right? This is Genesis chapter 49 and verse 8. "Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise." So they actually praised Judah, huh? They knew that Judah was the guy. Reuben knew that. Benjamin knew that. Gad, Asher, Issachar, Dan, they all knew Judah was him. They saw how the father was dealing with Judah, and they had to kind of take a step back. This is why David was chosen to begin with. because he came from the loins of the chosen man, Judah. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. And we know that this is ultimately going into the so-called Black Americans and their major captivity that they dwell in here in Babylon the Great, being in the neck of our enemies. And the father's children bowing down before them is what? The other tribes looking up to Judah, but also the other tribes bowing down to a particular king that will come out of Judah, who's Yahushua, the King of Kings. They're going to bow down before Yahushua because Yahushua came from Judah. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey. My son, thou art going up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? Because Judah, at one time, they were militant. At one time, they knew who the enemy was. At one time, they had the Black Panthers Party. They had the civil rights movement. You know, they knew who the oppressor was. They used to stand up against the man. It was Black power. And, you know, there was solidarity at one time in the 60s, early 70s, even in the 50s, when it came to the so-called Black man here in America. So he was like a lion, but now he became an old lion. Now he's pacified. Now he's docile. Now he's somewhere smoking the blunt, man, riding the damn tricycles now, man. That's what the old heads like to drive now. Those big slingshots, man, and play music, ride bikes, smoke blunts, and be niggas. So they have to be roused up by the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. So the scepter is what? What is a scepter? A scepter is an instrument that is used by kings, right? Let's pull this up. For judgment. An ornament staff carried by rulers on ceremonial occasions as a symbol of sovereignty. So ancient kings would have scepters in their hands. Usually a scepter had diamonds and gems and gold and rubies in it. And only kings had the scepters. So what is the Most High saying? All of the kings are going to come predominantly out of Judah. Right? Now you had Saul, some people say, okay, well, Moses, but most of the kings, 99.9% of the kings came out of Judah. And you never had a Manasseh, man, an Ephraimite. The kings that the Most High was dealing with were the kings of Judah. They were the lawgivers. And they will be until Shiloh come. Now, ultimately, Shiloh is an alternative name for Yahushua. It means peaceable one, right? Let's go into this word Shiloh. So Yahushua has many titles, man, right? Now it says, by whose it is, this is what the word means, right? That which belongs to him, tranquility, meaning uncertain, right? Meaning uncertain, right? But tranquility means what? Peace. All right, that's what tranquil means. Tranquil, Shiloh, an epithet of the Messiah. What is an epithet? Just a title, an alternative name. Yahushua has many epithets, right? An adjective or descriptive phrase expressing a quality characteristic of a person or a thing mentioned, aka a nickname, a by name, a title, a label. So Yahushua, you'll see his name mentioned throughout the Bible, but it's under epithets, predominantly in the Old Testament, right? So he is called Shiloh. And it's important to know that as we continue in this lesson through the Spirit, right? So let's read this again in Genesis chapter 49. 49 and 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. It reads, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be, because he is the one that's going to unify the tribes. He is the one that's going to sit upon the throne of David. The same way David had the tribes unified, Shiloh, the peaceable one, He's going to gather the tribes, the Prince of Peace. Verse 11, binding his foal into the vine, and his ass's colt into the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white like milk. And we know Yahushua had a flame of fire eyes when you read Revelation 1-14. When you read it's like Daniel chapter 10 and 5 on down. And wine is also knowledge and understanding. And the milk represents the fundamental knowledge of the Most High. So it's an embodiment of Yahushua being the word. And washing his clothes in the blood of grapes is dealing with the vengeance that he's going to have on the nations. So we know that this is going into Yahushua on a deeper level. But we went through how Judah was chosen, and it's going to lead to who? Lead to the Lord Yahushua, man. Now, let's go to Numbers chapter 23. Right? Let's go to Numbers chapter 23, still dealing with Judah. In order to understand the key of the house of David, you have to get an understanding of the tribe of Judah. Right? Actually, I believe this is Numbers 26. Salakia. Right? You won't understand the prince and prophecy. You won't understand the key of the house of David unless you have a understanding on Judah and its importance. This is the book of Genesis, Salakia, Numbers chapter 26 and verse 52. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, unto these the land shall be divided for an inheritance according to the number of names. To many thou shalt give the more inheritance, and to few thou shalt give the less inheritance. To every one shall his inheritance be given according to those that were numbered of them. So when the land was divided, whatever tribe had the most people, they got the most land. Right? That's how it worked. Notwithstanding, the land shall be divided by lot. According to the names of the tribes of their fathers, they shall inherit. So your portion could have been anywhere geographically, but if you had the most people, you would get the largest portion of the land. According to lot, shall the possession thereof be divided between many and few. So who do you think got the biggest portion? The tribe of Judah, man, because they had the most people. Here's a map, or really for lack of better terms, a chart, right, or a picture, and it actually shows the number of the tribes. You can read this in the book of, and they actually give you the precepts. See that they give you Numbers, the second chapter. That was during the time of the first census. You had a second census later in the book of Numbers, right? If I'm not mistaken, the 26th chapter. So you see Dan has 62,700 men. Asher had 41,500. Naphtali had 53,400. That was the cap of Dan. And they're the ones that marched on the reward, right? And then you had, what's like it, they marched on the north. Because we moved east. When we were marching, we were moving east on a spiritual level and on a literal level. So you had the camp of Judah. So Judah was the head tribe over their particular camp. This was how we were laid out in the wilderness, if you can understand. We weren't walking in a single file line. Don't read all the Israelites was in the wilderness 40 years and they was tripping over each other's feet and it was in a single file line and they were stumbling around. No, we were in military formation. We were in military formation, man. See this? We marched in military formation. Judah led the way, the same way he led the way in Genesis, the 46th chapter. Then the next tribe followed. And then you have the reward, meaning the back part they came after. And this was led by the priests, man. Right? So you could look up, this is how our camp was set up. And they were all numbered. They were counted. You know? So let's go back to this. Slakia. I had these pulled up. All right, come. Now you're dealing with Judah, and over each camp, you had a head tribe. So Dan was the head tribe on the north side. Judah was the head tribe on the east side. And that's spiritual too, right? Because the east is always symbolic for the homeland and for righteousness, man. And east is on the right-hand side. So the Most High set this whole thing up in the spirit. And Judah had 74,600, man. Nobody had more people than Judah. Now here's another one. Here's another census chart. And in the bold are the new numbers during the time of Numbers 26. And in the earlier chapters of Numbers, this was the old population number. Now, from Numbers, the second chapter into the 22nd chapter, a lot of people died, man. A lot of people died, straight up and down. So they had to do a recount so people could know how many people was going into the promised land. They had to recount the tribes. But again, you can see certain tribes got completely decimated, man. Look at the tribe of Manasseh. Well, they increased. They went from 32,000 to 52,000. Some tribes got cut down. Naphtali went from 53,000 to 45,000. Asher increased from 41,000 to 53,000. And you see, when you see this fluctuation of the numbers, that shows a lot, man. Simeon went from 22,000 to 59,000. Judah stayed around the same. Why did Judah stay roughly around the same? And who else stayed roughly around the same? Zebulun. And roughly around the same was Issachar. Because all of these tribes that roughly stayed the same, they belonged to Judah's camp. So Judah had them in order, man. A lot of other tribes, they cut 20,000, we increased 30,000. It was this mass fluctuation in numbers. But if you was in Judah's camp, you was in order. That's why Judah went from 74,000 to 76,000. They didn't have a lot of deaths, man. They was in order. So there are many points and precepts you could go to, not only from Genesis, not only in the prophecies, even how Judah was set up in the camp of Israel, even the numbers that they had, even them being on the east, on the right-hand side, proves that they have always been that forerunning tribe. As it's more than just, again, Judah is the most athletic. No, Judah in the spirit has always been that top tribe. Now, again, does this mean that the other tribes are, nothing? And no, man. Right? But again, we're going into Judah, and it is what it is, man, because the Most High set this up. And if you get emotional, that's not a good spirit to have. If you're perpetuating the curses, if you're envious or you're getting nervous or you keep talking about Judah, talk about the mighty tribe of Naphtali. We're not talking about the tribe of Naphtali right now. Huh? We're going into the key of the house of David. Man. Yahushua is from the house of David. That's what started this madness to begin with, man. Envy against Judah. So the point is, if you were in the camp of Judah, you remained in order. That's why they didn't have massive losses. 74,000 to 76,000. So that's why they were given the largest portion of land, right? They were given the largest portion of the land. Let's pull up a map of the allotted 12 tribes, right? Let's pull up 12 tribes of land allotment. So you can actually see that Judah was given, Salakia, Judah was given that largest portion. See this? Right? Let's pull this up real quick. Now, Simeon dwelt in Judah, but look how far Judah's land was, man, compared to the rest of the tribes. Manasseh came second because Manasseh had a lot of people too, man, but they had people on this side of Jordan and the other side of Jordan. Ultimately, too, they were the firstborn. All right. Now, Ephraim was the chosen, but Manasseh was the firstborn. That's why Manasseh has those two portions. There's a reason why Benjamin has the smallest portion, Dan. And there's a reason why Judah had the largest portion, because they were the most people. right? And out of Judah, there was an actual man, right? And I'm not going to go through the whole genealogy, Slakia, but you had an actual man who founded the city Bethlehem, huh? Right? Let's go to First Chronicles chapter 4. So you look at these cities of Judah, you see Lachish, Hebron, and Gedi, Hamor, and you should know some of these cities, man. You can't just look at this, this doesn't matter. I don't know what's going on. This is just too. No, this is your land, man. These are your ancient cities. If you are an Israelite, you should be well accustomed to how the land was divided, man. This is your land. See, a lot of these Edomites, they put this stuff together. Man. They put these maps, they put particular books together, commentaries, lexicons, concordance. They put that stuff together, and they're not the people of the Most High. And the Most High had them put that together for us, man, because we don't have the time or the resources to put this together. So when the Most High give it to you, you got to take it, man, and stop just looking at it. Oh, okay, just show me the white man bowing down. How can you not get on the black woman yet? You're pulling up all these maps and stuff, man. Where's the black woman getting God on? Now you got to learn this. You got to eat this whole road, man. So again, one of these cities is what? Jerusalem. And another city is Bethlehem. Now, where was Yahushua born? Yahushua was born in Bethlehem. Where was King David born? From the house of Judah. He was born in Bethlehem. Bethlehem in the Hebrew is Bayath Lakam. Bayath is house. Lakam meaning bread. The house of bread. It's fitting that Yahushua is born in the house of bread. That David is born in the house of bread. That's what Beth means. Now, let's go to First Chronicles. Right? So we're dealing with the house of Judah, and we're going to go to First Chronicles 4 that deals with the men that came out of Judah. First Chronicles chapter 4 and 1. The sons of Judah, Pharez, Hezron, and Carmi, and Hur, and Shobal. And Re'aiah, the son of Shobal, begot Jahith, and Jahith begot Ahumai and Lahad. These are the families of the Zorathites. And these were of the father of Etam, Jezreel, and Ishma, Idbash, and the name of their sister was Hazel Panai. Now here's the point of verse 4. And Penuel, the father of Gedor, and Ezer, the father of Hushah, these are the sons of Hur, the firstborn of Ephratah, the father of Bethlehem. So you had a man named Ephratah. Ephratah founded the city of Bethlehem. That's what it means. He's the father of Bethlehem. He established that city. And sometimes those names are interchangeable. Like when you read the book of Ruth or Micah, the 5th chapter, you read about Ephratah and Bethlehem. They're synonymous because Ephratah is an actual man. Bethlehem is the city that this man founded. And Hur was one of the chosen men. He was one of the top men with Moses. He was a Judite, man. You had Moses, you had Aaron, you had Hur. Right? You had all of these top men. Right? Now, when you look up, again, when you go to, let's get a quick precept on that. Actually, instead of Ruth, let's go to Micah. Right? Let's go to Micah chapter 5. Right? This is Micah chapter 5 and verse 2. But thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. So again, you see this Bethlehem Ephratah. When you read Ephratah, that is the man. Bethlehem is the city that man founded. Right? So again, went from the house of Judah all the way down to his sons, all the way down to Ephratah, to the city that he founded, Bethlehem. In Bethlehem is where who was born? King David was born, man. Right? King David is from Bethlehem. Let's go to 1 Samuel. Right? 1 Samuel chapter 30. Right? This is 1 Samuel chapter 30 and verse 26. right? So David was born in Bethlehem. Now, I'm not going to, we're kind of jumping into where David, he was anointed king, right, in First Samuel. And then David, he was on the run from Saul. And then David, when he was king, anointed king rather, and when he was on the run with Saul, he had a strong relationship with the other men of Judah. Right? This First Samuel chapter 30 and 26. And when David came to Ziklag, he sent up the spoil unto the elders of Judah, even to his friends, saying, behold, a present for you of the spoil of the enemies of Yahweh. And then it goes into all of the cities that David was hiding in. So David had a tight relationship with all of the men of Judah. And you're going to see when you read the book of First Samuel, when you read the book of Second Samuel, First Kings and Second Kings, you see this rift between Judah and the northern kingdom way before Solomon came on the scene. See, a lot of people don't really dive into that history, and you think that the kingdom was split and the tension started when Rehoboam forsook the counsel. It was already there. David then sent these spoils to the northern kingdom, huh? He sent them to the elders of Judah, huh? Because he was closer to the men of Judah, because he was hiding out amongst his family. Family relationships and inheritance were chief in the ancient world and held of high regard, huh? Let's go to 2 Samuel, right? Let's go to 2 Samuel, right? Chapter 2, right? This is 2 Samuel, chapter 2. And we're going to start at verse 1. 2 Samuel 2 and 1. It reads, and it came to pass after this, that David inquired of Yahweh, saying, shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? So it's a reason again why David was from Judah, because Judah was chosen. Saul died at this time. David is coming out of his refuge, being a fugitive, for lack of better terms, and is trying to come back into the land of Israel. So he asked the Most High, shall I go up to any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, go up. And David said, whither shall I go up? And he said unto Hebron. And Hebron was at a city of the house of Caleb. And Caleb was the top man of Judah. So David went up thither, and his two wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. And his men that were with him did David bring up, every man in his household, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David over the house of Judah. And they were told, and they told David, saying that the men of Jabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. Now, how come all of the tribes didn't come and anoint David king? How come just the house of Judah made David king? Again, because there was a strained relationship. David, all of the people of Judah loved David, man. They wasn't rocking with King Saul. If they was rocking with King Saul, then they wouldn't allow David to hide out in all of his cities. That's what we read in the previous chapter, 1 Samuel 30, that David, he thanked all of the Judites, man. Because when he was on the run, who took care of him? Who gave him food, man? Who gave him water? Who let him hide out in their cities, man? Who didn't tell his location to King Saul? All of the Judites, man. So they was like this. They had a very tight-knit relationship. So they said, the hell with King Saul, man. And whatever he got going on, we Judah, you're going to be king over Judah, huh? So you had this strained relationship going on. And then at this time, Judah, see, a lot of times we say Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Even before it was Benjamin and Levi. Because believe it or not, Benjamin used to be part of the kingdom of Israel, huh? Yeah, Benjamin used to be part of the king of Israel. With Ephraim and Manasseh and Gad and Asher and Naphtali and Zebulun and Reuben and all of those tribes, man. It used to be just Judah. Benjamin didn't come on the scene till later. Levi didn't come until later. At this point, it was just Judah against the world, man. How they got them shirts, your city versus everybody. They had the Detroit versus everybody, and everybody kind of got a different version now. In the ancient world, it was Judah versus everybody. So they said, guess what, man? It's us against the world. You're going to be our king. So this was rebellion against the unified kingdom. This was division already. Before Solomon even went off, you had division. Let's jump down. Second Samuel chapter 2 and 8. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel. So you have the tribe of Judah against everybody else. So King Saul Abner took Ishbosheth and made him king. So you already got two kings, the king of the Jews and the king of Israel. And guess who was involved? Benjamin. Huh? So Benjamin used to be part of the house of Israel, if you can understand. Now here's a map. I had a map pulled up for Ishbosheth's kingdom. See this? Now this is the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Ishbosheth, or the kingdom of Israel. See that? So you had Judah and its cities, and then you had everybody else. And this is division before Solomon, Jeroboam, and Rehoboam came on the scene. You already had a divided map. That's why it was so easy during the days of Solomon for them to just break off. There was already tension from the days that David was born. We read in 1 Samuel 11, Judah and Israel. 1 Samuel 17, Judah and Israel. Back in Genesis, Judah was the chosen. So it's only right that it's Judah against the world, man. And Benjamin was heavily affiliated because, again, Ishbosheth was from the tribe of Benjamin. And all of the northern kingdom families, they allied themselves to Ishbosheth. Right? So you had this division during the early reign of King David. All right? You had this division during the early reign of King David. Let's read on to 2 Samuel. Right? 2 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 10. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. The house of Judah are the elders and their families. That's the house of Judah. All of the elders and the princes of Judah, they said, we want David. We're not dealing with Ishbosheth, man. Saul is wicked. Saul is off. His house is wicked. They're dead. We're not dealing with them, man. They had discernment to know, hey, David is him, man. David's that guy. We're going to follow David. Everybody else, you can follow the king Ishbosheth. So you had this tension. Verse 11. And the time that David was king at Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Now, let's jump down to 2 Samuel 2 and 15. See this? They got civil war. So even the scholars already know you had a civil war that was already going on. And the first civil war was not the northern kingdom against the southern kingdom. The first civil war was the house of David against the house of Saul. That is the very first Israelite civil war or tribal war, right? After Judges and after these different accounts, this is the first Israelite civil war when the tribes have seized their inheritance. 2 Samuel, let's actually read this. Chapter 2 and verse, let's start at, this whole thing is good. I'm going to start at 12. And Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah. Zeruiah is the sister of King David. So this is David's nephew, right? And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool and the other on the other side of the pool. So you got David's men. It's about to be a battle. The chosen men of David versus the chosen men of Saul. Now, they weren't going to wage a full war. How come they didn't wage a full war? Because, again, one of the ancient methods of war to pretty much mitigate massive casualties and major resources being used was to take your top man from your army against the top man from this man's army. Why do you think Goliath did that? When you read David and Goliath, Goliath represented all of the Philistines. David represented all of Israel. So if David lost, all of Israel, by default, they lose. If Goliath lost, all of the Philistines lose. And they did that to eliminate massive casualties and resources being used, such as to feed the soldiers and armor and things of that nature. So Joab said, okay, we're going to get our top men. You get your top men, man. Whoever win, they rule over the whole nation. Verse 14. And Abner, the son of Selachia, said to Joab, let the young men now arise and play before us, meaning fight. And Joab said, let them arise. Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, that's spiritual, which pertained to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. So this is 12 on 12, man. These are the top 12 men. And they caught everyone his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword in his fellow's side. So they fell down together. Wherefore that place was called Helkath Hazarum, which is in Gibeon. And there fell a very sore battle that day, and Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel, before the servants of David. And this battle was a civil war, because when the house of Judah won, they're essentially saying David, he can now reign over all of the tribes. When Ishbosheth lost, they knew that he had no more power compared to the power that King Saul had, man. Right, let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 3 and 1. This is 2 Samuel chapter 3 and 1. Slakia. 2 Samuel chapter 3 and 1. It reads, now there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But David waxed strong and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. Right? So let's jump down. So the house of David, they're growing stronger and stronger, seizing more land, more people are following them, and the 10 tribes are getting weaker and weaker. Ephraim, Manasseh, even Benjamin, Gad, Simeon, right? They're getting Dan, Naphtali, Asher, Reuben, they're getting weaker and weaker. Judah, the tribe of Judah, they're waxing stronger and stronger. Let's jump down to 2 Samuel chapter 3 and verse 10. I'll start at 9. So God do to Abner, and more also, except as Yahweh hath sworn to David, even so I do to him, to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. So Abner was going to do that, man. Abner said, you know what, Ishbosheth, you're off. I'm not dealing with you. Abner was responsible for talking to all of the northern kingdom families, all of the princes, all of the elders, and saying, we want y'all to form an alliance with the tribe of Judah. And a lot of these families, they were hesitant at first, man. But eventually they said, you know what? We're going to actually make a league with the house of Judah, right? We're going to make a league with the house of Judah. So this was Abner's idea through the Spirit, man. Verse 12. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, whose is the land? Saying also, make thy league with me. And behold, my hand shall be with thee to bring all Israel unto thee. So you look at this map again. The goal now was what? To reconcile these families of the house of Israel. The elders of Benjamin on this side of Jordan, Reuben, Gad, Manasseh, and say, look, we need y'all to understand that David is the king. Let's unify. Let's no longer be divided. See, the house of David had all of the tribes together. And we're going through the history of how it happened. The 10 tribes, they said, okay, look, we're gonna accept this from the house of Judah, and we're going to be under the banner of the Judites. And this took a lot of families, man. They had lands, they had cattle, they had things, and they weren't willing to kind of be under a Judite. But this was a major deal to bring all of Israel under what? Under the house of David. All right, under the house of David. Now, let's go to the book of 2 Samuel chapter 5. All right, let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 5 and verse 1. Then all the tribes of Israel came to David unto Hebron and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. So now all of the tribes, it worked. They heard what was going on. Ishbosheth died in the previous chapter. Saul died. Ishbosheth died. Now you got the other tribes. They're going to do a unification. They're going to make a league. Remember, Israel wasn't together, man. They weren't together until David came on the scene. Right? Like it says in Genesis, unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Now we know that it says Judah, and it's really going into Yahushua, but the Judite kings gathered the people together, chiefly David. So you had all of the tribes. Who's all of the tribes? All of the 10 tribes and Benjamin. Because Judah didn't have to come in 2 Samuel 5 and say, make us king. They already made him king. So these were elders and princes of the northern kingdom, for lack of better terms, that came to David and said, we are thy bone and thy flesh. Verse 2, also in time past, when Saul was king over us, thou was he that led us out and brought us in Israel. And the Lord said unto thee, thou shalt feed my people Israel, and shall be captain over Israel. So all the elders of Israel, see that, came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before Yahweh, and they anointed David king over Israel. So there was a league between the house of David and the northern kingdom. They made a deal. If we'll allow you to rule over us, if you rule with equity and truth, if you fight our battles, if you save us over the enemies, if you're our captain, we'll make a league with you Judites, man. There's a lot of politics behind 2 Samuel, man, that you have to understand. It's not just David slew Goliath and the kingdom got divided during Solomon. There's political affairs going on between the Senate. The word Senate just means older men, right? We had a Senate in the ancient world, man. Right? Let's pull up the definition of Senate. Right? Here's the definition of Senate. Right? It reads, now it says the legal administration body of the ancient of Rome. But what does it mean? It goes back to the etymology, old man. Right? Literally, that's what it means. A council of elders. So when the northern kingdom tribes came, that was an ancient senate. That's where you get the word senile from, or they can't remember stuff, they're old. It goes back to the root word sin, that means what? Old. So the Senate was a council of northern kingdom elders and Benjamin. When you go to Judah, let's get a quick precept on that. I believe that's Judith, the 11th chapter. So the Senate made a league with the king, right? These are the politics in this matter. Judith chapter 11 and verse 14. For they have sent some to Jerusalem, because they also that dwelt there have done the like, to bring them a license from the Senate. So stop thinking that the so-called white man is the first one to have senators, man. To have a Senate, to have a council of old men. Solomon had a Senate, man. Rehoboam had a Senate. And if you're an ancient elder in this truth, man, and you may be part of the Senate, man. But the Senate was unified. You see that? So the Senate and the senators, which are the elders of Israel, They sent these elder men to talk to David and hash things out, and all of the politics behind it was set in stone. And then the house of Judah became established, man. Right? And the kingdom was established. Now, here's a map. Let's pull up a map of King David's kingdom. Remember, this is how it looked prior to the Senate establishing this league with David's house, the house of the Judites. Now, when David came into power, let's pull up David, what the map looked like during the time of David. See David's expanded kingdom, right? Let's pull this up on the map, on a detailed map. That's where we got to go into the geography, man. You got to go into WFI geography. So this was David's kingdom, right? Often you'll hear the term from Dan to Beersheba. Dan to Beersheba is just a symbolic way of saying all of Israel. But really, David's kingdom was from the river Euphrates all the way down to the borders of Edom. This was David's kingdom. So it went from this, where's this map? Of it being divided to this, all of the tribes together. This is the house, the beginning of the house of David. When you read about the tabernacle of David that was fallen, it is David's kingdom that was from the river Euphrates to Ezion Geber. When you look at this map, and we pulled this map up before, although this is Solomon's empire, everything in the red was King Saul's territory. Everything in the orange was King David's kingdom. Now, David did push to the river Euphrates as well, right? So this is King David's kingdom, the house of David, all tribes together. That is the house of David, all of the tribes together. Now, let's go to let's go to 2 Samuel 19, right? Let's get one more in 2 Samuel 19. This is 2 Samuel chapter 19. And when you read 2 Samuel 19, you read about David coming back after Absalom was killed, right? And David being put back in the kingdom and to his throne, right? Really, after other rebellions as well, man. Right? Now, this is 2 Samuel 19 and verse, let's start at 40. Then the king went on to Gilgal, and Kimham went on with him. And all the people of Judah conducted the king, and also half of the people of Israel. So how come you had all of the people of Judah that brought the king back to his palace, but then you only had half of the people of Israel, man? So something ain't right, right? Because the people of Judah, they was more invested, man. You had this tension going on, even when the kingdom was put back after the rebellion of David's sons. And behold, all the men of Israel came to the king and said unto the king, why have our brethren, the men of Judah, stolen thee away, and have brought the king and his household and all the David's men with him over Jordan? So they came late, man, and said, how come the Judites got to you first? So here's that strife again. Here's that tension, man. Them curses again, causing strife between Judah and Israel, man. Verse 42, and all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, because the king is near of kin to us. Wherefore then be ye angry for this matter? Have we eaten at all of the king's cost, or hath he given us any gift? So Judah said, we're going to bring David, because what? David is a Judite, man. It is what it is. We ain't take no bribe. They ain't pay us to do this. We love our fellow Judites, man. What you mad for? Verse 43, and the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, we have 10 parts in the king, because you have the 10 tribes. And we have also more right in David than ye. So this is off, man. David really, we have more right to the king than y'all do, because we have 10 tribes. You're one tribe. So they trying to plead their cause, man. This is that tension. For the seventh time, that tension has always been there before Solomon came on the scene. We have also more right in David than ye. Why then did ye despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king? And the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. So what does that mean? Judah, their words are more fiercer, man. So they was going back and forth, back and forth. Hey, but the men of Judah, they had more valid points. They was more fierce. They put their foot down, and the northern king, they really couldn't say much, man. Why were the men of Judah more fierce? Because the Most High was always dealing with Judah, man. So they was staying arguing, going back and forth, but Judah had more valid points, man. I'm led to believe these descendants of Israel, northern kingdom, was getting confounded, stumbling over their words. Judah was saying this and pulling this precept and this law and this scripture and that and this, that, and the third, and bringing out the history. And, Israel couldn't say nothing, man. They couldn't say nothing. So when David was in power, all of the tribes were together. When Solomon came on the scene, Solomon added more tension. Solomon actually caused all hell to break loose, man. Let's see what Solomon did. This is 1 Kings chapter 4 and verse 7. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month and a year made provision. So what did Solomon do? Solomon sent 12 officers over all Israel. And it caused an economic strife, man, amongst the families. Because instead of the tribe being divided by families, the tribe was divided by administrations. So meaning what? If your land, let's say I'm a Asherite, right? If I'm an Asherite and I have my land and boundaries can be cut off by the king's boundaries, because the king, he established his own boundaries. And a lot of tribes didn't like that, man. A lot of tribes didn't like how King Solomon was oppressing them, man. And he was taxing them. So all of the resources, not only was their land being jammed up, and instead of families having lands, the king took over the land and set up men over the land. That's not how it was in the ancient world. In the ancient world, the Senate ruled over, man. And the princes ruled over the land. Solomon said they don't have any more power. You got to imagine and think about what that did to the families, man. The ancient elders that knew the customs, that knew the land, that had the wisdom, they were taken out of power. Solomon put his own men in power, and he divided the land, and he was taxing the hell out of the northern tribes, man, or the 10 tribes. Let's pull this up. Where's Solomon's? Here's Solomon's 12 tribe makeover. Look at this. Solomon replaces tribal leaders, man. So again, we're going into the history on how this stuff started, man. First of all, you had that tension from Genesis, right? Then when Solomon was on the scene, David, now Solomon is just adding more fuel to the fire, man. He's removing tribal leaders. That's a big deal, man. And he's setting up his own men. A lot of people, they hated that, man. And here's how he divided the land. Right? Here's his 12 portions over these different lands. So again, if you was from the tribe of Asher, you might have been in region 10. And now you gotta figure out what's going on and how much you have to bring to this guy, and he's taxing you, he's oppressing you. This was a big deal. This was a major rift that really influenced the northern kingdom to rebel. See this? And they even put it right here. He sets up 12 administrative districts and appoints the supervisors. Tribal leaders become irrelevant. The king is boss. So this was a big deal, man, to all of the top tribes, chiefly in the northern kingdom. They hated this, man. Because David didn't do that. David, they part of that league they made is, hey, look, man, we're going to have our families. We're going to have our tribes. You're going to rule over us. You're going to fight our battles. We're going to be unified. Solomon, he's breaking that whole league that the northern kingdom fathers made with the house of David. He's breaking up the house of David. Right? This is what Solomon did, man. Look at this 12 tribe makeover. This grieved a lot of those families, right? This grieved a lot of those families. You can read more about this on your own. Look at this. Solomon's household needed this much food every day, right? Look at this 4 tons of flour, 8 tons of grain, 23 or 2,310 grain fatted cattle, 100 sheep, goats, deers, gazelles, poultry. So he was oppressing the people, man. The people were being oppressed. Not only that, what else did Solomon do to cause tension? Let's go to 1 Kings, the 5th chapter, right? This is 1 Kings chapter 5 and verse 13. 1 Kings 5 and 13. Now, this was the straw that broke the camel's back, proverbially speaking. 1 Kings 5 and 13. Right? Slakia. Right? 1 Kings 5 and 13. And King Solomon raised a levy out of all Israel, and the levy was 30,000 men. So what is a levy that he put over the northern kingdom? Let's pull this word levy up. Right? A levy is hard labor, right? A decree to put hard labor on people. So here's the word levy: gang or body of forced laborers, task workers, labor band, or gang, forced service, task work, serfdom, tributary, tribute, levy, taskmasters, discomfited, forced service, serfdom, tribute, and forced payment. What is serfdom? Serfdom, really, Solomon put together what you call a feudal system, right? I want to pull up 2 words. I want to pull up a feudal system, and I want to pull up serfdom. Let's pull up feudal serfdom, right? Serfdom was the status of many peasants under feudalism, specifically relating to manorialism. What is manorialism? A manor is land, right? So what it's saying is that Solomon owned your land because you had to pay taxes on the land. And you no longer became a leader of your land. You became a slave in your own inheritance. So Solomon enacted a feudal system or a spirit of serfdom amongst the northern kingdom. Not only that, he divided all of the lands again. All hell was breaking loose when Solomon came on the scene. That's why they came to Rehoboam and said, make our yoke light. Please don't oppress us. We'll give you a chance. Just don't cause hell in our families like Solomon did. Now, this was the manner of the king that Israel asked for, man. Right? This was the manner of the king that they asked for. So let's read this. Serfdom was the status of many peasants under feudalism, specifically relating to manorialism and similar systems. It was a condition of debt bondage and indentured servitude with similarities to and differences from slavery. From slavery. So this was debt bondage because they had to pay taxes. If they didn't pay taxes to King Solomon and give him his fatted calf, his fatted oxen, his damn sheep, it was going to be a problem. So that's what serfdom is. Feudalism. It reads, feudalism, also known as the feudal system, was a combination of legal, economic, military, cultural, and political customs that flourished in medieval Europe from the 9th to the 15th centuries. Broadly defined, it was a way of structuring society around relationships derived from the holding of land in exchange for service or labor. You see that? So Solomon was the first man to enact what you call feudalism or a feudal system. Pull up a feudal system chart. Right? So you can kind of see how this thing is laid out. Let's pull this up. So you got to go into this history, man, and see what happened to the house of David. Now, here's the ancient or the medieval times. They had peasants and serfs and knights and church officials and kings. Now, Solomon, he had the northern kingdom on the bottom. He had his officers next, Salakia. He had the priests, which are the church officials, and the princes. And then he had himself as king. This is not how they agreed to when David was on the scene. They did not agree to serfdom and madness, man. Right? Peasants, knights, nobles, kings. So now you had the peasants, you had the princes, you had the priests and the top men, and then you had the king. Let's go back to 1 Kings, right? 1 Kings chapter 5 and verse 3. And Solomon raised a levy out of all Israel, and the levy was 30,000 men. And he sent them to Lebanon, 10,000 a month by courses. A month they were in Lebanon, and 2 months at home, and Adoniram was over the levy, right? So you had madness going on, right? You had a conscription for slave labor that Solomon did, man. He's breaking up the house of David, right? He's breaking up the house of David. Now, let's move on. Let's go to the book, Salakia. Let's go to the book of First Chronicles, right? Actually, let's get straight to the point. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11, right? This is 1 Kings chapter 11 and 28, right? 1 Kings chapter 11 and 28. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge at the house of Joseph. So this man was set up to rule over the house of Joseph, meaning Ephraim, right? And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way. And he had clad himself with the new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. Two prophets, it's like an old showdown. He grabbed him up, rent his garment in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith Yahweh, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon and will give 10 tribes to thee. So now the kingdom is being prophesied to be completely divided. Oppression, re-establishing the boundaries of the land, damn near serfdom and slavery, breaking a league that David made. So now the kingdom is being divided and 10 tribes are given to who? Jeroboam. But he shall have one tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel. So now the kingdom is split. This is where you get your northern kingdom. Let's pull this up. And southern kingdom. They went back how it was during the time before David became king. This was the original division with the 10 tribes in the house of Judah. David unified them all together. And now Solomon, and he's in power, he broke them up again, man. He broke up the house of David. Now, let's go to 1 Kings chapter 12. Right? This is 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse, let's start at 1. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, so the northern kingdom, the Senate, it said, bring Jeroboam. Jeroboam, he's going to be our new leader. If Solomon's son Rehoboam doesn't comply and keep this league that we made with David, we're going to break off. Right? Verse 4. Here's what they said. Thy father made our yoke grievous. Why? Because he set the land up differently. He put a levy out on Israel, the heavy taxation. So the northern kingdom said, damn, man, we can't, your father was going off. Thy father made our yoke grievous. Now, therefore, make thou the grievous service of thy father and his heavy yoke, which he put upon us, lighter, and we will serve thee. So we'll make that league with you all over again if you take us out of this slavery and serfdom. All right, now let's see what happened. This is why they complained, man. Right? This is verse 10. Actually, let's jump down to verse 14. And spake to them after the counsel of the young men. So here's the counsel he told the northern kingdom, the Senate, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. This is off, man. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from the Lord, that he might perform his saying, which the Lord spake by Ahijah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat. Because the Lord already told Jeroboam, you're going to have 10 tribes. So it had to play out on the earth. Rehoboam was just a puppet, man, following the will of God to break up the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, what portion have we in David? Meaning, we can't make a league with the house of David again. It was good when David ruled over us. Now Solomon, Rehoboam, they're going off, man. We're not going to make a league with the house of David again. Northern kingdom being allied to Judah was predicated on the contract that they made with these Judite kings. If these Judite kings broke the league and broke the covenant, the northern kingdom wasn't obligated to make them king. That's what they said. What portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel, now see to thine own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tents. But as for the children of Israel, which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. So this is how the kingdom got divided. Officially, northern kingdom and what? And southern kingdom. Let's go to 2 Chronicles, chapter 11. Right? 2 Chronicles, chapter 11 and verse 13. I'll start at 12. Now this is dealing with Rehoboam. And in every several city, he put shields and spears and made them exceeding strong, having Judah and Benjamin on his side. So now Benjamin, they're leaving the northern kingdom and they're linking up with Judah. Right? Why? Because you had a strong relationship between Judah and Benjamin. Because David treated the sons of Jonathan well, you know, and Judah and Benjamin were right next to each other. So it was only right that the families of Benjamin was closer to the families of Judah than the families of the northern tribes. So Benjamin allied themselves to the house of David. Verse 13. And the priests and the Levites that were in all Israel resorted to him out of all their coast. So then Levi joined. You had over 40 Levite cities. They left all their cities and said, we're going to link up with Judah and Benjamin. This is how it became Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. This is how the southern kingdom was formed. Because Jeroboam kicked them out, man. Let's read that in verse 14. For the Levites left their suburbs and their possession and came to Judah and Jerusalem. For Jeroboam and his sons had cast them off from executing the priest's office unto Yahweh. So that's why you have what? Where's the map? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and you have the rest of the tribes. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and the rest of the tribes. Now, what does the prophecy say? The prophecy says what in Amos, the 9th chapter? Right? Let's go back to Amos 9. Right? What is the prophecy? Is the kingdom going to be divided forever? Right? Amos chapter 9 and 11. And that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and will close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. So this division Where's this map at? That you see the Most High is going to restore this division. He's going to raise up the house of David again. Now, when the Most High unifies the tribes, let's go to Ezekiel 37 real quick. Right? Let's get a quick precept. Ezekiel 37, Slakia, about the tribes being brought together again. Right? And instead of being brought together under the Senate, they're going to be brought together under the banner of Yahushua. Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse, I'm not going to read this whole thing, and verse 16. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. So you had two sticks. You had one for Judah, then you had, let me grab another one, right? And you had another stick for Benjamin. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, Slakia. That's one stick. And then your other stick was Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Reuben, Dan, Naphtali, Manasseh. So you had the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, that division. And join them one to another into one stick. And they shall become one in thine hand. So the Lord made them one stick. This is the house of David being brought together again. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. So the Most High said, I'm going to bring the tribes together again. And say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them to their own land. And I will make them one nation. So this links up with Amos 9. I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. And one king shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations. Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. Who's the one king that's going to rule over them? Is it David? Now, you may say, well, it is David, because David ruled over them before. He's the house of David. David is going to be king. You got a lot of brothers saying David is going to be the king in Israel. We're going to show you who's the king, man. Just because it says he's going to raise up the house of David again, doesn't mean David is going to be king. There's a lot of controversy in Israel regarding that, man. Is David going to be king? Is Peter going to be king? Is Yahushua going to be king? Is David going to be the king over Judah? How is that going to play out? Right? We're going to go into that, man. And to the key of the house of David, because we read how it was divided. Now we're reading how it's going to be put back together. You're going to have one king to unify the tribes. Just like you had one king to reunify the tribes thousands of years ago. Ezekiel 37 and 23. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God. And David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them. Now, you may say, well, hold on. David is going to be the king. David is going to come back, be resurrected. He's going to rule over all of the tribes again. Now, they call this the Davidic kingdom. There's something called what scholars call the Davidic covenant. The Davidic covenant is the covenant that the Most High made with David, that out of his loins will come forth all of the kings. You can read that in 2 Samuel, the 7th chapter. Right, let's actually get that real quick. Right, what is the Davidic covenant? 2 Samuel chapter 7 and verse 12. It's like in verse 12. It reads, "And when thy days shall be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom." Now you can say, well, that's King Solomon. Well, it is going into Solomon on a certain level, but it's deeper than King Solomon. It's deeper than that. He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. Now, was King Solomon's kingdom forever? No, man. His kingdom was what, 40 years? From anywhere between 970 BC to around 930 BC. So this kingdom that's been established is not David's kingdom. Yes, it says, David, my servant, shall be king over them. But David is what? What's the definition we read? An epithet. Let's pull up that definition again. David is an epithet, right? An adjective or descriptive phrase expressing a quality characteristic of the person or thing mentioned. So why is David an epithet for Yahushua? Because David is the one that unified the tribes. Yahushua is going to unify the tribes. That's why Yahushua is being called David. Because ultimately, too, Yahushua comes out of the seed of David. Doesn't mean Yahushua is going to submit to David. Last time I checked, it said, the Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thine footstool. So who's David's Lord, man? Let's actually get that in Psalms 110. Right? Even Yahushua told him that, man. Right? Let's go to Psalms 110. Psalms chapter 110 and 1. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool. So who's David's Lord? This is you Old Testament Israelites, man. You got some explaining to do, man. You got some explaining to do, how do you say? You have to answer this, man. Yahweh said unto Yahushua. That's what it's saying. So David can't be the king over all Israel if he has a Lord that he submits to. So yes, in Ezekiel, David is called the king. But the Lord said they shall have one shepherd. Who's our one shepherd, man? Who's the good shepherd? Let's go to John. Right? I mean, let's get two quick precepts. Who's the good shepherd that's going to unify the house of David? Who has the keys of the house of David, man? John chapter 10 and verse 11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. That's plain. This isn't David speaking. David is not the good shepherd, the one shepherd. The one shepherd is Yahushua. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 5. Right? That's why prophecy is important. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 4. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, ye shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away. So the men of the Lord are shepherds. You go out there, you teach, you guide the people, you give instruction, knowledge, understanding. But there's a chief shepherd. Hezekiah was a shepherd. David was a shepherd. Josiah was a shepherd. But there's a chief shepherd. Right? David even admitted and confessed that he had a shepherd. Huh? Psalm chapter 23 and verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want, man. So who's David's shepherd? Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So back in Ezekiel, the one shepherd and his king is David, but it's not talking about King David. It's speaking about Who came out of the loins of David. That's what it's talking about. Who came out of the loins of who? Of King David, huh? Right through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Right, let's go to Luke chapter 1 to 33. Right, let's go to Luke chapter 1 and verse 33. It reads, we'll start at 32. He shall be great and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of his father David. And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. So this is plain. For all you brothers that want King David to reign over you, we want Yahweh Shah to reign over us, man. No knock to David, but Yahweh Shah is David's Lord, man. Does that mean David is just going to be a slave in the kingdom and a nobody? No, man. You know? David is one of the elect. But you can't put David on the same level of Yahweh Shah. And you can't add to the word. A lot of brothers add to the word and try to give a position to David that's not written. You try to give a position to David in the kingdom that there's no scriptures on that. Well, David is, he's one of the 12. You can't prove that. You can't prove that David is one of the 12, man. Now, if David is one of the 12, then that's a different scenario, man. But you can't necessarily prove that. You can only go off of what's written. And what's written, Yahweh Shah is going to rule, then the 12 apostles. Starting with Peter, John, James, on down. There's a hierarchy in the kingdom of heaven. Yahweh Shah is number 1, and underneath him are the 12. So if David isn't part of the 12, David isn't going to be over Peter. David isn't going to be over John. You can't have your emotional attachment to David override prophecy and what's written. Hey, Peter's going to be over Abraham, huh? Peter's going to be over Noah, man. Enoch. Peter, John, and James are going to be over all the tribes. David is going to come back as a Judite. Abraham's going to come back as an Israelite, right? Noah's going to come back as an Israelite. Methuselah is going to come back as an Israelite. Adam, Enos, Seth, they're all going to come back as Israelites. But they're not going to be over the 12. Yeah, there are forefathers. We're not taking away from their faith and their works that they had, man, and the mighty feats that they have done. You think Judas Maccabee is going to be over the 12 apostles, man? Well, Judas slew all of these people, and Judas said, yeah, we know that. Well, Simon, he was high priest and king. We know that. Stop getting emotional. Stop getting caught up, man. And great feats, and get caught up in what's written. Right? So let's move on, man. Right? Let's move on. Let's go to the book. So we got a few more precepts. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 9. Right? Isaiah the 9th chapter. You're going to have the Most High, Yahweh Shai, and the 12. Right? Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 6. For unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given. And the government shall be upon his shoulder. And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Who's this going to? Yahweh Shah. Yahweh Shah is going to establish a government. You're going to have officers. You're going to have governors. You're going to have princes. You're going to have the 12. Right? You're going to have all of these different men. Right? You're going to have prominent men. All of our forefathers has written what names after them in the Bible are the elect men. Huh? Daniel, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Haggai, Zechariah, Zerubbabel. But there is order. You have to follow order. Even that's why Korah died, man. Dathan and Abiram, they said, we're all Israel. We're all princes. You take too much upon you, Moses, saying that all the congregation are holy. Yes, all the congregation is holy, man. But again, in every kingdom, there's rank and structure and order. So in the government, everybody's not the same in the government, man. Even in this man's government, you have what? Your president, your vice president, your secretary of defense, and all of these things, man. Let's read on in verse 7. Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end. Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom to order it. Who's going to be calling the shots? Yahweh Shai. And to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever, the zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this, man. So again, the power and fire of Yahweh himself is going to allow Yahweh Shai to rule over all of the tribes in righteousness. Let's go back to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 37 and 25. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children after them. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. Now again, David is going into who? Yahweh Shai. It is an epithet, right, for Yahweh Shai. Back in Isaiah, he is called the mighty, it's like the Prince of Peace. He is called the Prince of Peace. So he's the prince in Ezekiel 37 and 25. Right? Let's go to Revelation, the first chapter. Right? This is Revelation chapter 1 and verse 5. And from Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, who is the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead, and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins and his own blood. So Yahweh Shai is called the King of Kings. He's also called the Prince of Life. Right? These are many titles. He's called the Prince of the Kings of the earth. Sometimes he's called King, depending on the perspective you put it in, as he rules over all of the nations. He is the King. In his direct relationship with the Father, he is called a Prince, because he's the Son of the Most High. Just like us, right? We're kings based off of Slakia, how we rule over the other nations, but we are still princes because we submit to a king over us, right? We submit to a king that's over us, man, through the Spirit. So this is the same thing of Ezekiel 37 and verse 25, right? Ezekiel chapter 37 and 25 about David being the prince, right? Let's go to the book of, let's go to Isaiah. Actually, let's go to Hosea, right? Let's go to Hosea chapter 3. This is Hosea chapter 3 and verse 4. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim. Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek Yahweh their God and David their king, and shall fear Yahweh and his goodness in the latter days. Are we looking to David? Are we seeking David to rule over us, man? This is how you know it's talking about Yahweh Shai, right? But it's written in code. Again, it is an epithet for Yahweh Shai, a dark saying, because Yahweh Shai has the characteristic of unifying all of the tribes, and he's from the house of David. Just because it says David, we read the First Kings, the Lord called all of the southern kingdom David. He said, to your tents, O David. Sometimes the Lord calls us Jacob, man. Does that mean it's talking about the actual man named Jacob? No, it's talking about the son of Jacob, which are the Israelites. Sometimes we're called Judah. The house of Israel, they're called Ephraim at times. Does that mean it's an actual man named Ephraim? No. Certain scriptures and prophecies talk about the father, but is really going into what? His descendants or his son. So I don't know any man that's in his truth, unless you're an Old Testament Israelite that's not in the truth, that's looking for David to be their king. And if you're looking for David to be your king, you got a problem. If you think King David is going to save you out of Babylon the Great, you got a damn problem, man. I can't wait till King David comes and gets me out of Babylon the Great. What prophecy says that David is going to deliver us, man? What scripture is that? And the Lord said unto David, right? Even thou shalt dwell in the midst of Babylon, and thou shalt deliver the Israelites. Thou shalt have authority over 10,000 chariots, and even thus shall thy power be. Thou shalt go throughout the four corners of the earth, and even thou, David, the young man that slew Goliath, shall have power even over thy God, and even over thy king Yahushua. Even thus shall it be according to my word. There's no scripture that says that, man. So you can't take these particular prophecies that we're reading about in Ezekiel 37, Hosea 3, and apply it to King David when it's really going into Yahushua. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 30. Right? Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 9. Actually, let's start at 7, dealing with Jacob's trouble. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Right? Meaning the great tribulation, all hell breaking loose. Esau, being a madman, coming against the servants of the Most High. We shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass, and that day said the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Meaning we're not going to be in captivity under the devil anymore. But check this out. They shall serve the Lord their God, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Are we, again, going to bow down before David in the wilderness, man? No, we're going to bow down before Yahushua. So Ezekiel 37, Hosea 3, Jeremiah 30, it's all going into Yahushua, right? Let's go to the book of Philippians, chapter 2. Right? We're getting a few more, we're going to wind down. Philippians chapter 2 and 9. Wherefore God hath highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name. Who is exalted? Yahushua. That at the name of Yahushua, every knee should bow, of things in heaven and things in earth and things under the earth. And that every tongue should confess that Yahushua HaMashiach is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. So everybody's going to bow down before the Lord, man. Now again, there's hierarchy in the kingdom of heaven. In the new heavens, everybody will not be the same. And just because you're in this truth doesn't mean you're going to be equal to the next man in the kingdom of heaven. Certain men, when you read Luke, the 19th chapter, they're going to rule over 10 cities. Certain men are going to rule over 5 cities. Certain men are 144,000. Certain men are just part of the 1/3. Certain men are going to be great in the kingdom of heaven. Certain men are going to be least in the kingdom of heaven. David is going to be great in the kingdom of heaven. Abraham is going to be great in the kingdom of heaven. Noah is going to be great in the kingdom of heaven. Who's going to be greatest? Yahushua. Right? And again, there's no exact precept that shows the office that Abraham is going to have in the world to come. Right? Now, the Lord said many shall sit at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But there's no exact account to show, okay, well, Abraham, he's going to be right under the 12. And then Paul's going to have to report to Abraham. There's no account of that. Even the Apostle Paul, who labored more than the 12, he's going to have to submit to the 12 in the world to come. Huh? Let's go to Revelation chapter 3 and 7. It's lucky. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 7. It's important to understand the hierarchy in prophecy, right? This is Revelation chapter 3 and verse 7. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia, write, these things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. So who has the key of David? Yahweh Shai. Is that an actual key? Got it on his ring, and he made 2 copies. I got 1 copy for home. I got a copy right here, and you got a spare. I kind of keep one under the welcome mat. No, Yahweh Shai has the key of David. Now, what is the key used for? For entering, or really to open and to close something, to unlock and lock. So Yahweh Shai has the power to lock people out of the house of David, meaning you're not the elect, and to unlock the door of the house of David and let those saints in. He has authority over who's going to be the elect, or who's set up to be saved, who's not going to be saved, who's going to make it, who's not going to make it. He can open the house of David and no man can shut it. If the Lord opened up the door and let you into the house of David, no man can shut the door. I mean, if you were chosen to be in this truth, nobody can stop it. The Lord can shut you and no man can open it. So if the Lord shut you out from the house of David, no matter how many studyings you do, how many prayers you do, how many fasting you do, you'll never get into this thing. There are people studying right now, trying to find the truth, and they'll never get it because the Lord shut them. He got the key of the house of David. Right? That's what keys are for opening and closing. Now, let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and 18. Actually, let's go to Isaiah, chapter 22. Right, then we'll hold Revelation. This Isaiah, chapter 22 and verse 15. Thus said the Lord of hosts, go get thee into this treasure, even unto Shibna, which is over the house. And if you're over the house in the ancient world, that was an office given to trusted men, a steward, if you can understand, that would respond. And stewards actually had the key to the house. They were responsible over all the affairs of the king's palace. Who can come in, who can leave. They were responsible for security, making sure the king's food was set up. They were the master of the house. They had the keys to the house. So the Lord is getting on Shebna right now. Verse 16. What hast thou here? And whom hast thou here? That thou hast hewed thee out a sepulchre here, as he that heweth out a sepulchre on high, and that graveth an habitation for himself in a rock. So the Lord said, but you made yourself a grave for him, huh? You're not going to die in that grave. Behold, the Lord will carry thee away with a mighty captivity and will surely cover thee. Now, this is what you call a dual prophecy, right? A dual prophecy. A lot of prophecies in Psalms and Isaiah are applicable, even in 2 Samuel, to that individual in that current time, but also Yahweh Shai fulfills that dual prophecy when he walks the earth and or when he returns. He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country. There shalt thou die, and there the chariots of thy glory shall be the shame of the Lord's house. And I will drive thee from thy station, and from the state shall he pull thee down. Meaning you're going to get demoted. You're going to go from the house of the Lord, and you're going to die. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will call my servant Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah. Now, Eliakim was actually the man that replaced Shebna as being over the house of the Lord. This actually happened. This was actually fulfilled. Let's go to Isaiah 36. Right? Isaiah 36 and 3. Here's what we want. Isaiah chapter 36 and 3. Then come forth unto Eliakim, Hilkiah's son, which was over the house, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah, Asaph's son, the recorder. So Shebna got demoted. Before he got carried away and died, he was taken for being over the house of the Lord, demoted to a scribe. Eliakim, the prophecy was fulfilled around 703 BC or so. Eliakim was promoted to be over the house of the Lord. So Isaiah 22, you're seeing it being fulfilled in Isaiah chapter 36. But it's a dual prophecy. So let's go back to this. Isaiah chapter 22 and verse 21, still dealing with Eliakim. Eliakim is also an epithet for Yahushua. The same way Yahushua is called David, because he's going to unify the 12 tribes. He's also called Eliakim because of his position over the house of the Lord. So there are many epithets. There's sometimes Yahushua, he's called Shiloh because he's going to bring peace. So don't look at David prophetically in the latter chapters of Jeremiah, Hosea, and Ezekiel and attribute it strictly to King David himself when it's really prophetically leading to Yahushua. But let's read on. Let's prove that it's dealing with Yahushua. Isaiah 22 and 21. And I will clothe him with thy robe and strengthen him with thy girdle, and I will commit thy government into his hand. And he shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. And we showed this being fulfilled in Isaiah 36, when Hilkiah was promoted over the house of the Lord. And the key of the house of David will I lay upon his shoulder. So shall he open, and none shall shut, and he shall shut, and none shall open. So he actually had authority over the house of David, meaning the king's palaces and the king's mansions. He was set up over the house, man. He was the top guy in the actual palaces in the house of the kings that came out of David. But again, it is a prophecy alluding to Yahushua. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 3. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 7. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. Because Yahushua is Eliakim. Not literally, but he's Eliakim due to the characteristics that Eliakim had. His responsibility over the house of the king. Yahushua, he has the key of David now. On a spiritual level, having authority over the house of David. Right? Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and 18. Right? Revelation chapter 1 and verse 18. It reads, I am he that liveth and was dead. And behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. And have the keys of hell and death. So Yahushua has a set of keys, man. He got the keys of the house of David, but he also has the keys of hell and death. Now, the keys of hell and death, meaning Yahushua has authority over who could live and who could die. Who's going to be resurrected? Who's not going to be resurrected? Hell is the grave. It's not meaning Yahushua has a secret key to a subterranean everlasting fire under the earth. And he can open up the door, but he got to put his hand on it because it's hot. Then he kind of open it, and there's a lot of flames. But then the Lord kind of go into hell, and he take the wicked and he throw them into this place called hell, and he lock the door up, and he close up the earth and with his key, and he put in the lock, but it get jammed up, and he got to take it out and kind of turn it the right way. But the lock kind of jammed. He got to kind of wiggle it and with the doorknob and kind of hit it one time. No, man. It has nothing to do with an actual key into a damn lock, man. And hell opens up and it's hot, and the Lord just throws the wicked in there. Then he closes up and Yahushua lock it. That's absolute madness and utter vanity, wind, confusion, and folly at the highest degree. He has authority over who could live and who could die. That's plain, right? That is the house of David. That is the key of the house of David. Let's go to Zechariah, right? Let's go to Zechariah chapter 12 and verse 7, right? It reads, the Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. So in the kingdom, the Lord is going to save the tents of Judah first. Even now, a lot of prominent men are from the tribe of Judah. You got other tribes coming up in this thing, but Judah is going to be the head tribe. Why? Because the Lord isn't going to have what happened during the King Solomon times, where they magnified themselves against Judah and said, look, here's how we want things to go. That's what they was doing, man. To David and Solomon and Rehoboam. Make our yoke lighter. We want it like this. We want it like that. We want it like this. No, none of that no more. Man. Judah's on the scene. Judah's back in power. And the rest of the house of David, meaning the other tribes, you got to deal with it. Now, you could be mad, man. You might be a Issacharite watching this, man. Mad, man. Damn Judah. And you got to deal with it. We're not going to sugarcoat and lessen the glory of the house of David and Judah, man, because the brother's emotional. It is what it is, man. Yahushua is from the tribe of Judah. This is not damn 930 BC where you can magnify yourself against Judah again. Now, if you're a Judite, don't let this get to your head. I'm from the tribe of Judah. Now, all you other tribes ain't nothing. No, don't let that, because, hey, the Lord got up with Judah. Huh? The Lord got up with Judah many times. So don't a Judite, a lot of Judites are going to die too, man. A lot of Judites ain't going to make it. You know, even in this ministry, even in this walk that we have, this truth. So don't be a brother that boasts, man, because you're the natural branches, man. But the Lord is letting you know that Judah will be saved first. Verse 8. And that day shall Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of Yahweh before them. When we're enslaving a so-called white man, beating these other nations down. Remember, we read in 1 Kings chapter 11 that David and Joab was for 6 months smiting all the males of Edom. And they had finished the job. We read that certain Edomites left, man, and they fled with Hadad into Egypt. And they're not going to flee, man. And this time, the Lord said, if you're the feeble man, you got brothers, you know, your glasses broke, you got the tape right there, your nose running, and you're picking up your glasses, and you know, your book bag, got all these books in your book bag, and your fringes, you know, your shirt real young, and you're tripping over the stumbling stones, and you get up and you scrape my elbow, and you know, you're a feeble man. You know, you got crust all in your eyes and trying to figure out what's going on. Hey, the Lord said, he that is feeble among them shall be as David. Now, there was a hit, man, back then, where Saul slew his thousands and David his 10,000s. If you're a feeble brother, you're going to be killing tens and thousands of the other nations. That was the song they sang about David, man. David couldn't even build the temple because his hands was too bloody. This is the power we're going to have when the house of David is restored. And the house of David shall be as God. So you're going to have God-like power when you're subduing the nations, when you're subjugating them, when you're putting them in slavery, when you're taking their babies and dashing them against the stones, man. And the Most High may give you the ability to fly, teleport, man, punch a hole through somebody's chest, snap their neck with a snap of the fingers. You're going to be as God. Is anything too hard for the Lord? No. So is anything going to be too hard for the house of David to do? No, man. You want to be part of the house of David in these last days. If you're in this truth, you're the elect. You are part of the house of David that has fallen. Right? Let's go to Micah chapter 4. So we're going to do what David did, man. And David subdued all kingdoms around him. This is Micah chapter 4 and verse 11. Now also, many nations are gathered against thee, that say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion. You got nations that are looking at you in your lower state. but they know not the thoughts of the Lord, neither understand they his counsel. For he shall gather them as the sheaves unto the floor. That's what he's doing now by the word of the Lord. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy hoofs brass, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto Yahweh, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. So the Lord ain't gonna have us be nice, man. We're going to literally, this is not an in-depth parable. What does it mean to beat in pieces? Well, beat, it's really going into, when you think about it, the old wine and the new wine, and the pieces are spiritual pieces because of the 10 tribes. No, you're going to literally beat in literal pieces. Arm over here, leg over here, nose over here, tooth over here, head over here, leg over here, man. What does it say in Psalms chapter 18? Then that I did what? Let's get Psalms chapter 18. This is a mean psalm right here, man. Right? This is a mean psalm. This is Psalms chapter 18 and verse 40. Thou hast also, this is what the house of David is going to do. Thou hast also given me the necks of mine enemies, that I might destroy them that hate me. They cried, but there was none to save them. Even unto Yahweh, but he answered them not. So how are you other nations going to be saved? Isn't Psalms 18 a future prophecy? How does the Lord love everybody? David said, and it's really the prophecy of the house of David, right? Led by the man who has the key to the house of David. We're going to destroy those that hate us. Right? Verse 42. Then did I beat them small as the dust before the wind. I did cast them out as the dirt in the streets. That's a lot of beating. To beat somebody in the dust, man. Beating a skull in over and over and over. Now, you may have an open fist. You might want to use a hammer. Right? You might use the flat side of a battle axe, man. You might dice them up like garlic and onions, man. You might stump them out. Imagine stumping somebody out so much that nothing remains but dust. Not even bones. Bone fragments. Dust. The dust that may be under your bed. The dust that's on the top of the mantle. You kind of take your finger and it's dust right there when you put the damn glove on like a creep, right? And then you look at all of the dust. That's how the nations, our enemies, are going to be treated before the house of David. That's what David was doing, man. We read that he put garrisons in Edom. David was giving these heathen work, man. Right? I'm not going to read this whole thing, but this is 2 Samuel. This whole thing is good, man. Chapter 8 and verse. Actually, I'm going to start up. Right? This whole thing is good, man. Right? 2 Samuel 8 and 2. And he smote Moab. So we're going to smite the Moabites, man. All you gooks, man. Right? Yeah, we said it, man. If you a gook, a chink, a water rat, man, a mouse eater, a dog eater. Yeah, we said it, man. You have no business watching this anyway, man. The Lord said, we're going to smite you, man, because that's what David did. And he smote Moab, and the Lord loved this, man. There's no account of Nathan the prophet or Gad the seer saying, David, what hast thou done? Thou hast killed the Moabite. Thou art off. No, we're going to smite Moab and measure them with the line, casting them down to the ground. Even with 2 lines, measured, he put to death. And with 1 line, 1 full line, Salakia, to keep alive. So the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. That's a heavy thing right there. He had lines of them, and he killed everybody on 1 line. Then he killed everybody on another line. Then the 3rd line he kept alive. That's psychological warfare and terror. You don't even know. Imagine he had 40 lines. If you like line 25, you don't even know if you're going to make it or not, man. You're just watching all these men in front of you get killed. You're trembling, you're shaking, and he counting down the lines. And he gets to your line, 2 dead, 1 alive. The one that's alive is, man, Then he gets to the next line and he kill you. So David was terrible, man. He was not nice, man. He didn't show them no respect, man. This is disrespectful, man. This is what you would call a war crime. This is a war crime against humanity that David did. And he put them in slavery, man. And he brought gifts. Right? Let's jump down. 2 Samuel chapter 8 and verse, we're going to read 13. And David gat him a name when he returned from smiting of the Syrians and the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men. So he killed 18,000 Syrians. And we read this before, but I mean, we have to read it again. And he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons. And all they of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. So David put the white man in slavery. And God loved it. The Most High was with him enslaving the so-called white man. Now you can get mad. I don't want slaves. If you don't want slaves, you got a problem. And your mind not right, man. I just want to get in the kingdom and I just want to relax. I don't want to kill anybody. You know, I just want to kind of eat my grapes and I want to knit or crochet that thing when they got them 2 sticks. A lot of brothers, you want them 2 sticks in your hand, man. You want to cover your your damn lap with that damn cloth, man. Just take them 2 sticks and rock in your chair, man. You want to sit in a what's that? A rocking chair and drink lemonade, man, like a Negro. No, we want action, man. We want blood, man. We want to kill the Edomites and enslave them. And you can get mad, man. That's what the Lord said. Let's go to Obadiah. This is what the house of David is going to get down with, man. Right? We look forward to this. When we see these Edomites, man, hey, their days are coming. Their days are coming. Obadiah, and you Christians need to break down Obadiah, man. Break down who the Edomites are and go into this prophecy, man. Because y'all don't want to talk about Obadiah. You want to talk about John 3:16, John 1:12, Galatians 3:28, Romans chapter 10:4. You're going to be a child molester, a hypocrite, and a murderer. Obadiah 1:15. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. This is the get back, man. The great get back. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possession. So we're going to rob them. When you read Ezekiel 39, we're going to literally rob them. We're going to rob those that robbed us. We're going to kick the door down, and if you got gold, we taking it, man. We're going to put it in the bag, and we moving on, man. We're going to rifle your houses. We're going to be lifting up your mattress, man. Raiding your underground bunkers, man. Underneath the Vatican, your deep underground military bases. We're going to have a duffel bag, man. And we're going to take whatever we want to take, man. We're going to take your woman captive. We're going to destroy your children. We're going to destroy you, man. We're going to take a little remnant of you Edomite slaves, put them in prison, man. Kill your children. Now you can say this is getting violent. This is what God said. The Most High is a man of war. This is the house of David. The Lord said the house of David shall be as God. How are we going to possess their possessions? Are they going to give it to us? Are we going to sit on one end of the table? He sits on the other end of the table, and we write a contract out. Okay, you can have this. Okay, but you can't have that. Okay, you can have this, but you can't have. I'm going to hold on to this. Hey, you can have this. Right? No, we taking every damn thing, man. You know? Let's read on to verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh hath spoken it. So we're going to do what David didn't finish. One of the first precepts we read was in 1 Kings 11 and 14 on down, that the house of David and Joab, they killed all of the males in Edom. But certain Edomites, let me pull that up again. Certain Edomites escaped, right? They snuck away, man. Right? 1 Kings 11 and 16 or 14. I'll read 15. For it came to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was going up to bury the slain after he had smitten every male in Edom. That's every male is babies, man. 2-year-olds, 15-year-olds, prepubescents, adolescents, toddlers, newborns, infants, preemies, premature babies, old men, senior citizens, middle-aged, lower class, Esau in his prime. Every male in Edom, David killed them. But we're going to read on certain Edomites escaped. For 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel until he had cut off every male in Edom. So they hated the Edomites, man. This is hatred. To be in somebody's land 6 months, wherever you see him, you kill him. There go one, you kill him. And he was there for 6 months. And then Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. So there ain't going to be no more certain Edomites that flee. And Obadiah 1 and 18. We're going, the house of David is going to finish what they started. That's what the Lord said. There shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. There's no problem. Okay, Hadad escaped. A remnant of Edomites escaped and fled to the Isles. And they're going to come back into power after 1,000 years and then try to destroy the Lord. It ain't going to happen, man. Right? It ain't going to happen. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain of Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites. So the same way David expanded the boundaries to the house of David, we're going to expand our boundaries to the whole world, all the way to the river Euphrates and even beyond. That's another thing that the house of David is going to do by the hands of our Lord Yahushua. Even to Zarephath, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Zarephath, shall possess the cities of the south. And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be Yahweh's. So we're going to stand up, condemn Esau for all of his wickedness, sins, vile or villainy, madness and folly, murders and atrocities, and the kingdom is going to be translated to Yahushua, who has the key of the house of David. So with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh. Ba'ashima Mashiach Kwamalak Yahushua. Most High willing you are edified. Keep the Sabbath holy. No buying, no selling, no cooking, no work, no sex on the Sabbath, no speaking your own words, doing your own pleasures. Keep the Shabbat holy. Kwam Yashalom.